Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. What's up? What's going down? Gravecrawler here, and today I wanted to bring you my Death Chaosbringer deck tech. This deck I recently piloted to a joint top third placement in the Clashing Teacups League, which, just before I start, I want to send out a massive thank you to the guys over at Clashing Teacups. I had so much fun over this league. It was so great. The community was fantastic. The games were engaging and fun, and playing consistent Alpha Clash has been amazing. So really appreciate that. Also, I wanted to send out an individual thank you to Papapon, who really helped me when it came to this death deck. He helped me refine it and gave me considerations and food for thought when it came to cards in the list, and he was also on death during this tournament, so I think his deck is very similar to this, but I wanted to send out a thank you because the deck wouldn't look like this if it wasn't for him, and he gave me a lot of great advice. Anyway, this is Death Chaosbringer, 30 health, 1 attack, 0 defense contender. Top ability reads: when a Death Clash card you control is defeated or sent to Oblivion, you may engage this card. If you do, draw 1 card. Then up to 1 target Clash card you control gets +1/+1. Then the bottom ability is: once per turn during your primary phase, you may put target black Clash card with an initial resource cost of 2 or less from your Oblivion into play. At the end of the turn, banish that card. So the 10 ability isn't one that comes up all the time, but in longer games it can do. It's mainly the 30 health ability is the reason why I think this contender is so strong. Being able to draw cards without having to jump through many other hoops and getting +1 on top is so strong. So yeah, it's the reason why you're running this list. Very good contender. And I guess where I want to start with this list, I just want to lay the foundations for it, because the Clashing Teacups League was quite casual in a really positive way, in that it allowed you to change up your list. You weren't locked into the same list for the entire 12 weeks. You were locked into the same contender, but you could change up the list. The first iteration I had of the deck was very much Zach Bunn's black-red deck that he took to a top 8 finish. And truth be told, I didn't really vibe with that deck too much. I think I wanted a bit more of a linear, a bit more of an aggressive playstyle when it came to my deck. So I dropped off from that one, I think, after 2 weeks. I wasn't really sold on that one. And then I switched it up to a black-white deck, which I actually ran for the majority of the league. And if you guys are interested, I will show off that list, because I think that deck was really good. It's probably about 15-ish cards different to this one. And I definitely think there's a place for it. But this is the final version I've ended up on. It is consistent and it is incredibly strong. So yeah, this is probably closest to the final version of the deck, even though there's still some tweaking I think I could do to the list. I think it is pretty much there. So let's start with some of the more recent inclusions to the list. Anybody that's familiar with Alpha Clash will know how strong this card is, and maybe this package with Morak as well. Being able to use Morak to tutor up Lord Krungs or any other 3 cost or less Clash card, really strong. Lord Krung, if you go wide with multiple Lord Krungs, them buffing each other and allowing you to be very aggressive is great. But also the necrotic ability, allowing you to remove anything that is a threat to your board, also so strong. I think when you run black in your list, I think you have to have a reason not to be running these 2 cards. You could maybe even say this card as well. But yeah, specifically these 2, phenomenally good. But yeah, they're in most lists. So yeah, I don't know. Next, Lord Krung, the Barbarous. So public service announcement. I saw this a while ago in Michael Hamilton's winning list. And I'm not ashamed to say, when I first read it, I was really confused because he wasn't running any blue in his list. And I was wondering how he played it. Just to let you know, if you're newer to the game, that if you read the counterplay/attack portion, you can play it for 3 black pips instead of 4 and needing a blue. But yes, this is an above rate clash card with a removal when you need to. It's basically 2 for 1ing when you need to, and that is so strong. So yeah, this card is incredible and a great addition to the last version of the list. Then we have Under Pressure is the next recent addition. So I had Deflating in this spot beforehand, but I do think this is probably a better card. You may discard 1 card. If you do, draw 2 cards. Target contender or clash card you control gets +1/+1 until the end of the turn. And then there's a magnitude 15 effect, which reads that target gets +2/+2 into the end of the turn instead. So that magnitude 15 effect is relevant and did happen a few times, but just being able to get card advantage guaranteed and getting a +1/+1 buff as a trick was really good. And actually discarding a card to put into your Oblivion is advantageous for Death's 10 ability, and also if you were to play subsequent copies of Under Pressure for the magnitude 15. So yeah, really great clash buff. Loved it. Really good. Probably my favorite recent inclusion to the list, and it comes from the latest set, is Bombardment. Now, anybody that is newer to Alpha Clash, just to let you know, this is not a relic accessory. I believe this is a basic action, so it is a misprint. They are rectifying that in a subsequent set, but for now, it is just a basic action. So you play it once, do the thing. And that thing is 1 cost. You may diminish up to 3 cards. If you do, deal X damage to target clash card, where X is the number of cards diminished this way. So it's up to 3 damage on a card and self-mill, which, as we've just discussed with previous effects, is really good in this list. But yeah, 3 damage early, it can answer a lot of things and allows you to just stay ahead in terms of the board state. The card was very effective. I think it was probably most effective in my most recent game against Conquest. Really strong there, but just generally 3 damage early as a basic action, really good. Going from a really good card to a card that I'm not as sold on, and I'm so sorry, Papapon, because I know you're really high on this card. Death's Door. It's good. Don't get me wrong. I think players have to respect that if they get super low, you can play Death's Door and possibly just kill them on the spot. I think that's really good. I think having clash grounds of your own to counter other people's potentially very important clash grounds is really good as well. And I think the longer a game goes on with this out, that is also very advantageous to you. However, again, maybe this is just my playstyle. Most of the time, I just found myself resourcing this card because the tempo loss of it most of the time was just not worth it. I felt like games were over fast enough that this wasn't worthy of playing for 4 when I could just play another clash card. I think if going forward, I might cut down copies but not cut out copies. But if you guys have a different opinion, please let me know in the comment section below. I'd really like to chat to you about this one because, yeah, I know Papapon's really high on this one. It's fine, but not my favorite. So, speaking of cards that are my favorite, this Clarity from the Shadows, so good. It's not only one of my favorite arts in all of Alpha Clash, it's phenomenal. But the card itself is very good. 3 cost, 2/2, trigger defeat, send another target clash card you control to Oblivion, and during your primary phase, you may engage this card. If you do, send target clash card to Oblivion. So, it is removal straight away, and your opponent needs to answer and destroy this card, or it will continue. And actually, there's some neat little interplay between this and Death's top ability, because there might be times where on your own turn, you may not be able to draw the card all the time. It was nice sometimes to be able to just like play Clarity and then also make them destroy that Clarity, and then on their turn I could engage and draw the card then. But yeah, most of the time it is just constant removal that demands that answer. So strong. 4 copies of it because yeah, the card's incredible. Speaking of incredible cards, Bad Omen, 2 cost, 2/3, exclusive. If an effect an opponent controls would have them draw a card outside of the draw step, that player may only draw that card if they engage 1 resource of any colour. So it's taxing people when they want to draw cards, and it's phenomenal. It's already an either on rate or above rate body, and this ability on top. And as we know, in all of card games, drawing cards is incredibly powerful, and it's something that everyone wants to be doing, and I think Alpha Clash is no exception to that. So being able to force them to pay for that is great. The fact that it's exclusive, I could see why people might run less than 4 copies, but to me, I want to see it consistently really early, and I'll just resource the other ones if need be. So I went with 4 copies of it, and I was not disappointed. Really good. Let's talk next about possibly the MVP of the deck for me, and it was one that I was actually quite low on and didn't have in my initial build, and this was one that Papapon showed me the power of, and I was very quickly sold on it. My goodness, this card single-handedly was winning me games. 6 cost, 4/4 flyer with an ability that says, for each Death Clash card in your Oblivion with a different name, you may reduce the cost to play this by 1. So it could potentially go to a 3 cost card that's a 4/4 flyer in the air. Evasive, large body, can be played out sometimes very cheaply. It's so strong. Between that and then the next card that we're going to talk about that has flight as well, it just meant a lot of damage coming through in an evasive fashion that needed answers quickly, and sometimes people just couldn't do that. So yeah, this Death Stalking Spectre, 5 cost, 3/4, another flyer. Trigger enter, you may send target Clash card with an attack power of 3 or less to Oblivion, and whenever a Clash card is sent to Oblivion from the Clash zone, this card gets +1/+1. So it's removal on ETB, really strong already. Effectively, it's a 4/5 flyer for that turn as well because of that ability most of the time. Really strong. And even then, just a 3/4 flyer in conjunction with this other flyer as well just won me games. So powerful. 4 copies of it. I know it's on the expensive end, but I want to be seeing that card on 5. Amazing. Really good. Then next, we've got Death Overseer, 1 cost, 1/1 flyer. Effectively, this is mostly a flying blocker, because I think that's important in case my opponent has a lot of flying Clash cards. But also, once per turn, during your primary phase, you may send a Clash card you control to Oblivion. If you do, banish target card in target player's Oblivion. If the portal is open, banish 2 cards instead. I think this ability will become more relevant over time, and there was points where it did have relevance. So I still think I keep this in the list. It's a flying 1 cost. So that's why it's there. Then a card that I'm not as sold on, but I know a lot of people are, and I'm willing to give it the opportunity because I can see why it is. But I found myself, again, resourcing this card more often than not, and that is I Am Demise. For us, it costs 2. Send target Clash card you control to Oblivion. If you do, send target Clash card you don't control to Oblivion. So it's kind of like you remove 1, they remove 1. But if the portal is open, you may put a Clash card without Unrivaled from your Oblivion into your Clash zone engaged. If you do, your contender loses health equal to that card's initial resource cost. So I think that part is important. But again, most of the time I'm trying not to interact with the portal, so that part wasn't coming off as often as I'd like, and I think that's probably the powerful part of it. And having more removal in the deck is never going to be a bad thing, so I think it's necessary to be here. But yeah, I wasn't as impressed as I think initially I thought I would be, but it's still a good card. Now, a card that is very unassuming, but I really, really like it. That's Death the Dreadful. 2 cost, 2/1, trigger enter, you may activate the portal. So there is a few cards in our deck that do care about the portal being open and or closed, so that can be relevant, but it's mostly to counteract our opponent's strategy that might be wanting the portal open or closed. And then it says, trigger defeat. Target contender loses 2 health, then that contender's controller draws 1 card. So, as I've mentioned throughout this, I'm quite an aggressive player, and most of the time I was using this just to draw a card myself, which was very, very good. However, it is important to note, and this was relevant in more than one game as well, you can do this to your opponent and it can kill them or close to at situations. You know, the amount of times where I'd have board control and get them sub 5 life, and then you can kind of go, Death the Dreadful, target them, they draw a card but they lose 2 health, and then they're straight away in something like Death Door's range. So strong. It's fantastic. And if I've got this right, I believe you can also use the card then with the sub 10 ability to bring it out, and then it goes away again, and you can use that ability once again. Card is so good. Love Death the Dreadful. Finally, a card that I'm really impressed with myself, but I don't know, I get the impression some other people are not, but is Death the Endbringer. 6 cost, 4/5 exclusive. At the start of your turn, if the portal is open, you may put target clash card with an initial resource cost of 3 or less from your Oblivion into your clash zone. If that card is a Harbinger clash card, it gets +2 and necrotic until end of turn. And this next bit is the reason why I'm running it. At the start of each opponent's turn, that opponent must send 1 clash card they control to Oblivion. So this card is a big body that is a constant tax on the opponent that just says, you need to remove this or I will take over this game slowly but surely. And the effect doesn't require you to be engaged, or it doesn't need any other effects to happen. It's just consistently happening every single turn. I most of the time was leaving it up as a blocker and just having that effect happen. This card's really good. It's obviously 6 cost in what I perceive to be an aggressive deck, so I'm only running 2 copies of it, but I definitely think it's a worthy inclusion if you can't quite get over the finishing line fast enough. It can just help you out. But yeah, that's the deck, guys. I hope you enjoyed, and if you have any advice or any cards you think I should consider or any lists yourself, please let me know below. And also, like I said before, if you care about seeing my other version of the list, please let me know. I'm quite happy to do another deck tech for that one. And yeah, on that note, guys, really appreciate you guys stopping by. Thank you very much, and see you next time. Bye-bye for now.